It's fair to say that there's loads of trading methods within Ultimate Team, but with most there tends to be quite a bit of competition because everyone here wants to be able to make coins. Everyone's trying to find the laziest but also the most profitable way to make coins within Ultimate Team because it means that they'll be able to get further ahead, buy into better players, build their dream team, and have more of an edge when it comes to gameplay. But despite all of this, there are some methods which people really do overlook, and that's exactly what we're going through in today's video. It may not be the one which gives the most coins, and it may not always be the one which is the most enjoyable, but it is one that is going to have next to no competition. You don't need to worry about ever being outbidded. But before we do get into the video, if you're looking for some cheap, fast and reliable FC24 coins, then there is no better place than U4GM. There is a link in the description down below, and if you use code Fanatic, you'll also be able to get yourself a 15% discount whilst the Black Friday promo is still active. But once it's all over, this discount will go back down to 5%. So get that 15% while it lasts. Getting back into today's video. So when it comes to trading, there used to be a very simple way which would always allow you to find players without there being any competition, and that is by changing certain parts of a player. For example, in previous years, we always liked to trade with players out of their default position, but we couldn't really do that this year because EA changed the position modifier system so that position modifiers are no longer a thing, making it impossible for us to buy a CDM, add a CDM to center mid position modifier, move them up to a center mid, and then try to sell them for free for potentially 5,000 coins more than their default price. And those players would sell because a CDM to center mid position modifier was very expensive, and most players didn't want to deal with going through it themselves. They would much rather save the time by just buying the cheapest version of that card that they want, which is currently on the transfer market, and that's where us traders would come in. But that leaves only really two ways in which we can take advantage of this now. The first way is to start looking at players but adjust the chemistry style. With chemistry styles, even those on that lower end, which doesn't really have much demand, you'll still see an increase in the player price. And especially within methods such as bulk bidding or sniping or anything where you're needing to look at that player at their lowest buy now, when you're looking at their lowest buy now, it tends to have quite a bit of competition because there's going to be so many players doing the exact same thing. But by adding a chemistry style, because it increases their lowest buy now to be a few hundred coins, it means when it comes to bidding or going to use a sniping filter or just trying to find some good deals on a buy now which aren't within the 59th minute, you can have a bit more time to go and do it. You can bid slightly higher, outbidding your competition because they don't realize that there's a chemistry style applied to that player which does slightly increase that overall price. Now, as said, not every single one is created equal. Some of these add a lot more coins than others. On that lower end, for those which are undesirable, you may be able to bid an extra 100, 200 coins above what you would typically, and you'll still be able to make profit. But with certain other chemistry styles, such as your Hunter or even your Shadow, I would have said Catalyst in previous years, but it's not really doing that well this year. But specifically Hunter and Shadow, you're able to bid a few hundred, potentially a few thousand coins more because they have increased by that much. And with this, it does open a door for you to bid higher, completely wipe out your competition while still making profit because you know something that they don't. Now, in terms of changing the chemistry style, that is the idea in itself, but there's loads of different ways in which this can break down. For example, you could buy a player and then buy the chemistry style, apply them together, and then sell them in order for you to have some margins so that you're able to make profit. The method that I like doing is going over to search, setting the league to be Premier League, then going up to position to be a defender, setting that to be Shadow. Then I'll search, looking for the lowest buy nows where there's still a few pages worth of players, and then I'll just keep on going through each one and pretty much make a judgment call. Sometimes it's very easy to see a price difference between a player who's listed way below compared to what else is there, in which I buy that and then list it higher. Sometimes you could judge on the exact same player who has multiple cards listed. Yet again, you're able to go and find a price difference, and sometimes you just have a hunch in which you'll buy a player, list them. I find that they do eventually sell. And this, in my opinion, is one of the best ways to completely push aside your competition while still being able to make profit. Another way in which this is used is with managers. I know, quite interesting. Managers are needed within Ultimate Team. You can't play a game without there being a manager, and most people like buying a manager within the leagues that has mainly built up their team, because that will then ultimately increase their overall chemistry. But not every single league has high quality managers, and there is also an option with you going through consumables for you to buy manager leagues. So what you need to do is go through, search each league individually to find the average price for each manager. Most will be at 150 coins, 200 coins by now, in which you want to avoid, but there's some, such as some English football leagues, Bundesliga, La Liga, they can actually have a slightly higher price alongside quite a few other leagues, which I'm not going to mention in this video for the purpose of you needing to go out and find which ones do and which ones don't. Because if I tell you, it suddenly becomes a bit more complicated, as people already know. Ideally, you're looking for leagues which will have managers at least at a 400 coin by now. If you could get them higher, even better, because you're also able to go and find managers in those other leagues, which we also talked about, where they are at 150 coins and no one's trying to buy them. So you can go through, bid 150 coins on a bid. And like what we just said with managers, you also have the manager leagues, which also have no competition. You could go through these, select any league you want, despite what managers sell for within that league, and you can still bid on them and buy them at their minimum price, 150 coins. So in total, you are 300 coins all in. And then you guessed it, you're going to send that manager to your club alongside the consumable, apply the consumable manager league to the manager, and then list that manager for the correct price now that you've changed his league, and you're going to list them back onto the transfer market. Now, with this isn't one that you can constantly milk, because even though, yes, there are players that do still need managers, it's not the same market compared to players. So even if you do list them at their lowest buy now, they're not going to sell instantly. You may need to relist them a few times, potentially even go 12 hours overnight. But after testing this myself, yes, they do still sell. What you need to watch out for here, and this is something different from that previous method, is with your players and chemistry styles, you could get several of one single player within one single league, all having slightly different chemistry styles, or you can have them all being the exact same chemistry style. It generally does not matter. But when you start to get 5 managers, even if they are different managers, but they're all part of the exact same league at the exact same price, then it becomes slightly more difficult to sell. So you want to have less than 5 for each league, which you are able to profit from, list those onto the transfer market, wait for them to sell, and then go for it again. There are certainly more profitable trading methods that you can use within Ultimate Team, but as said, this is a video highlighting a few methods that you can use with zero competition, and that's exactly that. The amount of people bidding on managers are next to no one. It's also the exact same with manager leagues, and I'm not seeing a queue of people trying to list managers onto the transfer market by doing this. They just don't see the point. But the point is that you will still be able to make coins, and if you are someone that just wants to trade for literally a few minutes, just so that you can get a similar amount of coins through trading as what you are currently getting by playing matches. So you're doubling the total amount of coins that you can get for a very similar amount of time that you're dedicating to the game. Then these are 2 methods worth looking at, because they don't take any time. You don't need to worry about being outbidded. All you need to do is go through, find the deals, list them onto the transfer market, and keep on relisting, because they will eventually sell. And once they do sell, that is when you'll go back through, do it again, and rinse and repeat throughout the whole year, without really taking any time away from the game that you're playing. No frustration whatsoever, because someone's bidded on your player or your manager within the last 30 seconds, and then you're stuck in a bidding war where they're waiting until the last 5 seconds to place a bid, and you're doing the exact same thing, taking several minutes just for you to win a trade. That doesn't happen. These trades flow through, and then they flow out. If you're looking for some trading methods which are a bit more complicated, then I highly recommend clicking that video on screen. That video will show you the exact step-by-step process from going from 1000 coins all the way up to 250k, with each method telling you exactly what to do. So you want to see that? click that video and I'll be over there to guide you through absolutely everything.